Givach. We're learning for a Refuah Shlema for Miriam Rus Bas Zorah. That is the wife of our very own Meir Gewurtzman, who unfortunately had emergency surgery on Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Rus Taibas. Again, look, we should learn now and have in mind by Tilim, Miriam Rus Bas Zorah. We're up to Nun Ches on the base. Tonight's stuff is Nun Tes. We're up to Nun Ches on the base. I'm going through various cases, halach l'maisa, instances of what? Of Yayin Nesech. And tonight, Bez Hashem, is a short daf. We're going to go and delve into a little more deeper machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos regarding touching Yayin Nesech. So we're starting a few lines up. Reish Lakish ikla leBatzra. Reish Lakish came to the town of Batzra. Chazi Yisrael dekachli peri. Deloi ma'asrei. He saw a yid. He was eating peris that you didn't go ahead and take off trumas amaisa, I guess. For asalahu. He said it's us. You can't eat it. Chazamaya desagi le'oivdei kichavim. B'shasa Yisrael. He saw water that goyim were bowing down to and Jews were drinking. V'asalahu. So he asked two things. He asked the peris and he asked the water. Asla kamed Rabbi Yochanan. He came in front of Rabbi Yochanan and Amalei. So Rabbi and Reish Lakish told Rabbi Yochanan about his psak. So Amalei Rabbi Yochanan told Reish Lakish ademik toirach Allah, before you get undressed, before you take off your ekel, zil hada, go ahead and return and tell them that you were wrong. Betzer lav hainu Batzra. Betzer is a town in Eretz Yisrael. That is chayiv in Trumas Amaisa. Batzra is not. So therefore, they were right in eating it without taking off Trumas Amaisa. Umayim shel Rabim ein nesarim, and Mayim shel Rabim a goy kinasa. And Rabbi Yochanan Tamei. Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his reasoning. Dam Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Tzadik. Mayim shel Rabim ein nesarim. Right, Mayim shel Rabim. Right, you can't asa. Mashma hadi yochid ne'asarim, v'tepiglei deha mechubarim ninu. Guys, by now we know ala harim v'laya harim. So anything that's mechubad is no din of avodah zara. So l'chayre, any mayim you should not be able to aser. Not only because it's the mayim of a rabbin, but even if it's the mayim of a yochid, you should not be able to aser because it's mechubar. It says in Walei Tzricha the talshinu gola, that the gal, when it went ahead, like the wave of the water, when it would move it, it would disconnect, and therefore it's considered not mechubar. Says in Soif avne harshen idoldalu ninu. Guys, let's go back in time. A mountain, you can't asa, right? It's connected. We had a shaila. Let's say no man went ahead and did anything, and a piece of the mountain dislodged. You'll remember because we said the throughway with the rolling things, it dislodged. We had a machlokes between Bnei Reb Chia and Reb Yochanan, and we didn't know who said what, whether it's us or not. We concluded that if there was a tfisis yad, if there was a human interaction in it, then it would be usar. Here it's speaking non, and we had machlokes, and we didn't know who held what. So says the Gemara now, this water that is getting dislodged, going up and then going back in, is the same thing what as a piece of mountain getting dislodged, because the water has the din of a mountain. It's mechubar. So when it gets dislodged, it has the din of what? Amavonim that were dislodged. And he's saying it's muta. So now we can go back and we push the shayla. Who held what over there in that Gemara? Rabbi Yochanan is the one who held it's muta. So to stein Rabbi Yochanan, avnei harshin dilnu nenut, to stein Rabbi Yochanan, the amas suros, the Rabbi Yochanan must be what? The one that would hold that it is asa. Yeah, because he says it's a yachid. It's again the yachid. And not the rabbim, the yachid part. So Memela, since Rabbi Yochanan was mashma, a yachid would be asur, he would hold, it's the same case over there, right? I misled you because of the yachid rabbim component. Leave the reason why in the rabbim you can't asur. Good, let's get that off the shelf. Now you have the yachid. Says Rabbi Yochanan, the yachid would be asur. Why would it be asur? Because it was dislodged. So therefore, the stone that was dislodged also would be asur, even though there was no man-made intervention in between. So the Gemara, let's bring a raya. Says Gemara, Leitzricha divtavchinu biyadei. It's speaking where he literally took his hand and picked up the water. So since there was a human intervention, it's not the same. Over there, the rock got dislodged and no human intervention. The lashon of the Gemara was tfisis yad. There wasn't any tfisis yad. So Mamela, since there wasn't any tfisis yad, there's a shaila. But if kuli alma moed, if there was tfisis yad, it would be asa. So over here, what are we speaking about? Why did Rabbi Yochanan say the mayim of a yochid would be asa despite the fact that it's mechuber? Because actually the Jew picked it up. So they picked it up, and now it's dislodged completely. Therefore, it would be asa. Reb Chia bar Abba iklo legavla. Reb Chia bar Abba, he came to the town of Gavla. Chaza benois Yisrael. He saw there were girls that were impregnated by goyim who had been mol for gerus for loy tavlu, but they didn't have the tefillah. He found chamra that was diluted by a goy, v'shasa Yisrael, and Yisrael was drinking it. Chaza termusa, he saw this type of it's a kitnius termusa. Rashi brings on Chaf Hey, guys, in Masech the Beitza, you have to go cook this 7 times, and then it's used as some type of relish for a condiment for either dessert. So it has to be well cooked. The main thing is it can't be eaten raw. So he saw this termusin, the shalki l'huav de kechavim, that goyim cooked it. V'yachli Yisrael, v'yamalu v'laimidi. So 3 cases. 1, woman impregnated by a guy who did a milah but not a tefillah. 2, wine drunk by a Jew that was diluted by a goy, and that was 2. And 3, this termusin dish, which has to be cooked, was cooked by a goy, and Jews ate it, and they didn't seem to be concerned with bishul. Also, Kamed Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Chia bar Abba brought this case in front of the great Rabbi Yochanan. Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan told Rabbi Chia bar Abba, say v'hichris al b'neim shehem mamzerim. Go say that what the mamzerim. Guys, obviously we don't paskin like this. This is the shita of Rabbi Yochanan. The woman's Jewish over here, right? The woman's Jewish. But go ahead and usually a baby that comes from a Jew is a Jew. Val yenoi mishum yayin nesech, and the wine is yayin nesech, because again we had this Gemara, guys. We had the other day. If a guy dilutes the wine, leich amalei nazir, right? Schar el kamalei sikrav. So we said that we don't want this guy anywhere near the wine, so get him out of there. The al termusin and this termusin mishum b'shuli avik kechavim mishum she'ena b'nei Torah. Now this she'ena b'nei Torah, guys, is going on the last psak, the last clause of termusin. Now the Gemara goes over all 3 piskei halachas of Rabbi Yochanan. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Dam Rabbi Albaneim Shem Mamzerim. Rabbi Yochanan Tamei. Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his reasoning. Himself the Yivam Staf Mem Vav. Dam Rabbi Yochanan LaOlam Einoi Ger at Sheyimo v'Yitful v'Kimid Leitavo. Since you weren't Tovel, Oivik who. So now it blives in Oivik Kechavim that was boil Abbas Yisrael. V'Amar Rabbi Rav Chana Rav Yochanan Oivik Kechavim ve'Eved Haba Abbas Yisrael Havlad Mamza. The Vlad is a Mamza. Good. That's the first psak. The second psak, take out the word gazer. Al Yena Mishum Yayin Nesech. Mishum leich on omrim nazira sacha the karmelei sikrav, stay away. So gezerah, stay. It's us. Therefore, they shouldn't have drank in it. The third thing, val termusin mishum bishuli avdei kechavim ifisheina b'nei Torah. Mashma timer de'ena b'nei Torah. They're not b'nei Torah. Ha b'nei Torah shari. But if they were b'nei Torah, they would be permitted to eat the termusin that was cooked by a goy. How could you say that? For Amar Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, Amar Rav. Okay, let's do this outside, fellas. We saw 2 components in order to avoid the bishul akum problem. A, it could be eaten chai. If it can be eaten raw, you don't have a bishul akum problem. And B, if it's not raw, to be put on what? On the king's table. Yes, those are the 2 things. So we saw Rabbeinu Tam Paskin that you need both. In other words, Missing either one, there's not a bishul akum problem. Over here, tumusin has one component but not the other. You can't eat it raw, fellas. So since you can't eat it raw, there's a bishul akum problem. However, it's not oila and shulchan shemalachim. So if you go after the second psach, you don't have a bishul akum problem. Why? Because it's not roy to be oila or shulchan malachim. Okay, so now with that in mind. For Amarav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, Amarav, Kol shenechal kamo shu chai, anything that can be eaten shu chai, ein boy mishum bishul avdei. Now, pirish, and since termusin cannot be eaten chai, you should have a bishul akum problem, and that's why you can't eat it. Not because they're not b'nei Torah. The reason why they can't eat it is not because of bishul akum. The reason is because they're not b'nei Torah, and they may come to mata some things. But I'm telling you, says the Gemara, you got a bigger problem. You got a mamish. Forget b'nei Torah. Even b'nei Torah should not be able to eat this. Why? Because it's not eaten chai. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan ki hachlish nesfirulei. He doesn't hold like that lashon. He holds like the second lashon. Dam Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Amarav kol shein oil l'shulchan shel malachim l'lafis bayas pas. Anything that doesn't go on the shulchan of a melech in order to enhance the pas. Ein boy mishum b'shul yavdei kechavim. Now, very good. So, in other words, if he doesn't hold of the first thing and the second thing, it's not a bishul akum problem. Taima, that's the reason that it's aser. They ain't a b'nei Torah. B'nei Torah shari, but if it's b'nei Torah, rad. Okay, so Rashi says, if you ain't a b'nei Torah, atamusin koi. The hein b'nei Torah shari kidufarish lekamei turmis ein anechel chai ve'ein oila shulchan malachim. So therefore, it's not a bishul akum problem because Rabbi Yochanan only holds like the latter reason. So what's the reason that why it's a talmud chacham with mutter? You wouldn't come to a bishul akum in the future. An ama aretz, so someone's not a ben Torah. If you let him eat this, you'll tackle let him eat something that is a bishul akum problem. Okay, so that we dealt with all three issues. The children are mamzerim based upon Rabbi Yochanan's psak that eved akum hubar bas yisrael avad mamza. It's yayin nesech or gzeira kos lech amen nazir, and therefore mazgu kais you can't drink it, and it's even cholikas whether it's asa b'hana or not b'shainim. And thirdly, termusin, it's asa because you're not a ben Torah. Because he didn't hold it was the bishul akum problem. Why wasn't it a bishul akum problem? Because it's not oil and shulchan shemalachim. Again, Tosfos here brings the same that we pass like Rabbeinu Tam that you need both, lacking both. You need in order to be bishul akum, it has to be not only it can't be if it can't be eaten raw, and it has to be raw to be oila on shulchan malachim. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Boy mi name Rav Kahana. Oivik yechavim ma'u sheyoylech anovim legas. What's the halacha about bringing anovim legas? Guys, all these cases, Rashi and Tosfos do not agree in any one of them. They're all every single case. That's why you have such short dafim. The Tosfos, and they're all arguing with Rashi. That the case over here is you're bringing this you're carrying it you bring it to the gas, okay? And besalin. No, excuse me. Sheyolech anovim legas amalahu asa mishum lech amina nazira sachasar lecham leisikrav. Okay, says Rav Kahana, I don't want this guy around grapes. I don't want him transporting it. I don't want him around at all. Bechlav. Esrei Rav Yemel Rav Kahana oivik yechavim shehevi anovim legas besalin, a guy that brings grapes in a sal in a basket to what? To the gas ubedadurim or in casks. Afa pisha yayin mizalif alayim, even though the yayin in the casks or in the basket is being mizalif on them, mutter. It's mutter. So how can you tell me that lech? I mean, in like Nazira, you see that it's mutter to drink the wine. Amalei heavy karmit. Heavy's lashon if it was brought to the eved. I'm not lechatchila karmina. I meant lechatchila. Lechatchila, you should not have him there because lech. But if he brings it there, then what? Then if he brings it there, then it would be okay. If he brings it there, it would be okay. But that's only a b'di'evet. Hahu, this case we're going to go into the next case. I picked and chose. I thought this might be very, very fascinating. Hahu es roiga did nafol lechavita de chamra. There was this esrig that fell into a barrel of wine. Idrei ovet kechavim, a guy jumped v'shakle, and he took the esrig before it had a chance to go ahead and sink to the bottom of what? of the yayin. So he touched the wine. Amul Ravashi, naktul yade, grab his hand, kehechi delay l'shachshech bei, in order that he shouldn't go ahead what and give us a chashakel. He shouldn't go ahead what and shake it up. Ubertsua atshid shaifa, and tip it over until the wine that's by his hand would go off. That's what you should do. Amar Ravashi. Okay, so that's the case. That's the case. So what exactly happened over here? What are we worried about? Let's see Rashi. Idrei of the Kechavim, Kofatz, Ve'ochsa, B'toich hayayin, Shaloi tishtaka, that he shouldn't go ahead and shake it. Ki heichi that it shouldn't sink, excuse me. B'toich hayayin Shaloi tishka, that it shouldn't sink. And why, what? Grab his hand, Ki heichi delay l'shachshech. Ule isa b'hana, says Rashi, She'ein min naschin el al yedei shichshuch. The only way for a goy to aser is not through maga, it's only through shichshuch. There's some big taisus in over here. I decided, fellas, rather than pick and choose, let's go through the synopsis of Rashi and Taisus based upon the Sefer Shiurei Hayom that I bring in from Rav Michal Zilba. And we'll get a good time of the problems over here. It's a very nice shtickle. Now, I know you could see this because it's the only game in town. There's nothing else on the screen. Shitas Rashi, Shemiduber Hichnis Hagoyas Yadoy L'Techayayin. The guy put his hand into the wine. K'dei litfos esrig, in order to grab the esrig. V'yada shezeh yayin, and he knew it was wine. V'afal pi shenoga hagoy b'yayin, even though he touched the wine. Eina oiser es yayin, he doesn't aser it. L'fi sholi osa boy shichshuch, because he didn't go ahead and shake it. Upirish habes Yosef b'simin kufchav dalid, she'ein maga hagoy oser es yayin, ela b'makoim sheyesh lochos she'osa shichshuch b'magoy. That he went ahead and he that says the Beis Yosef understands Rashi that the only time the guy usses the wine is if he touches it and it's meshachsech. Since the guy was busy getting the esrog, grabbing it that it shouldn't get shmutzadik, it shouldn't get dirty. Therefore it doesn't get come asa with his touching. And the mice of shishach is he moves his hand in the wine for the purpose of nisach. We had the guy, the cardamom guys. We had the guy's job was appointed by the government of measurements. We said even he's moided bein biyad bein beregel. He doesn't ask to the wine. It's only through shichshach. And this, over here, there was no shichshach. In other words, so you have two cases. The case of the guy grabbing the esrig, and the case of the person who was in charge, given a government position, who stuck his hand in, and since he stuck his hand in for measurement enough, and he's not going to be mishachshech it, that's Shitas Rashi. Taisus Pirshu, Shemaisa zed doimel ledin she'eskira gemar le'el daf min zayin, madadu biyad, if you go ahead and you madu biyad yimacher aliba d'rabanan, meaning he thought, right? Shvahaynu shekivan shein kavanasu lemaga hayayin el lamitra acheres, that he wouldn't want to touch the wine, but there's another purpose of measurement. Ein hayayin esar. So Taisa says that the reason why it's not usher is because he did touch the wine, but he didn't touch the wine for the purpose of touching the wine. There was a different siba to touch the wine. That's the same thing as over here. He didn't want to touch the wine. He wanted to save the esrig. Just like he wanted to save the esrig, he wanted to do measurements over there. Why do you have to grab his hand? If the whole svara is that it's nothing to do with shichshach, but has to do simply with what? Whether he wants to touch the wine or doesn't want to touch the wine, that's an ulterior motive. So why are you grabbing his hand? By the case of measurement, you didn't have to go ahead and grab his hand. And the Farshim of Taisus explain, Shemimedida hu tarid gam b'seif hamedida. When he's measuring, it's from the beginning to the end. Hayim hu moded yafa, whether he measured well. V'al kain ein choishishin shenisach bois shah. The whole time he's busy with this, we're not chayish. We're not chayish. The whole time he's busy with this, we're not chayish for anything. Ma she'en kain bezeh sheichnes es hayad litfos es esrig misha shetavsu ein etari bedava v'yeshlachu shema yishachshech kli l'naseh. Okay, so let's see what we saw so far. Says the Rashi, that Rashi seems to say, and the Ran seems to agree, explanation of Rashi, as long as the guy does not do that action, you're good. So guys, what do? The esrog falls in, he sticks his hand in. Look, you grab his hand. What are you doing by grabbing his hand? You're ensuring he's not going to go ahead and give chashakal. Good? Okay. Tosfos learns differently. Tosfos doesn't learn, it's not totally in shechshach. Tosfos learns it's totally in why did he go ahead and put his hand in there in the first place? So by medida is the same as by the esrig. He put his hand in the chapti esrig. He put his hand in to do measurements. Frag the people on Tosfos, how can you compare the two? Over there, right? Over there by medida, if the purpose is to go ahead and grab it, then why did you have to grab his hand? In other words, as long as he put his hand in there, not for the purpose of touching the wine, for ulterior purpose, l'chayre it's not yayin esach, correct? As by medida, he put it in his hand to measure. So over here, why did he put his hand in? To grab the esrig. So he put his hand to grab the esrig. Why in the world do you have to grab his hand? He didn't put it in to touch the wine, right? He put it to grab the esrig. So why did Rav Ashi say chapsich his hand? And for Tosfos, beautifully, the people on Tosfos, guys, this is why I brought this in. The Mefarshim of Tosfos answer beautifully. I'll tell you a big chilik. By medida, from the time he goes in to the time he comes out, there's a medida. He's busy with medida from point A to point B when he comes out. Over here is once he grabs the esrig, he accomplished what he wanted to do. Now he has sight, he has time now to go ahead and make a yayin esach. But again, you see this two guys. What do you see from the shita? Tosfos says you don't need shechshach. So even touching alone will make it asa. The reason why it's not asa because you don't want to touch the wine. Okay, let's go a little weiter. I think it's geschmack. It's a geschmack inyan. Tosfos mevin as shitas Rabbeinu Tam bepirish asugya shemedu b'oifin shebeshas tchivas hayayin hayahagoy soiveshu shemen. When he went ahead and put his hand in he didn't know it was wine. He thought it was shemen. Vayzeh keina ma'aseh le'el of charam. Remember, charam was the meshuggah that we met. Charam is goy shahoyshe yadei k'sava shel shemen. He v'nimtza shel yayin shomer chachamim yimacha. You could sell it. It's not asibana. V'amnam. So therefore, says Rabbeinu Tam's shita is when this esuk fell in, he thought it was shemen. Right. V'amnam hani mili betchila keshichnas yadei lo yada shu yayin. So initially he's not going to do it. Why do you have to grab his hand? Because once he went in there and he found out that in fact that it was what? He found out in fact that it was yayin, then you have to grab his hand. So so we have three shitas, guys. According to Rashi, he knew it was yayin. He knew it was yayin. According to Tosfos, the first shot, he knew it was yayin also, but he went in not for the purpose and according to Rashi, you want to stop him from shaking. According to Tosfos' second shot, according to Tosfos' first shot, he wanted to go ahead and he knew it was yayin, but he doesn't answer it. He doesn't answer it because he didn't go in for the purpose of yayin. He went for the purpose of the esrog, and the purpose of grabbing the hand was to go ahead and stop him on the way out. Rabbeinu Tam says he thought it's shemen, and then when he finds out it's wine, you have to touch to stop his hand because he may go ahead and be menasech. A third opinion of Tosfos. Oda via Tosfos as shitas harashbam sheheminas asugya ba'oifin shebeshashu rotz litol es esrig lehoisa kavanas leklau ligua biyayin elolitfais es esrig. He wanted to chap the esrig before it got the wine. Vayzeh kasava shel shemen he. V'nimtza shel yayin shemut b'hana v'shlohoysa kavanase lasas maga yayin klau. His kavanah wasn't to touch it at all. Ula'acha shenatol es esrig Choshash Shema Yitain Daitoi V'Shachshech. And therefore, after he chap the esrog, maybe he'll change his mind. V'Shachshech. Kimin she'achshav hu k'far noga b'yayin. That's what you thought. Umigimel shitas elu she'amidu she'meduber b'gavna shle'hoise kavona maga b'yayin klal. The last three opinions. Shemen, he didn't want to touch the wine at all. Mashma shem hayaloi legoy kavanasei magia b'yayin haya asa. And this would be not like Rashi, because Rashi says you need shichshach. V'kosav habes Yosef shehem cholkim al shitas Rashi shleinase yayin esech elam b'maisa shichshach. According to these opinions, fellas, whatever if they thought it was shemen, they wanted Mecham to touch the wine. But if they did, in fact, touch the wine, even without shichshach, you'd have a problem. And they argue in Rashi, this is the opinion of the Beis Yosef, right? Elakol shehaya maga af shlehoya shichshach haya oise b'magai ubevad shehoisle kavanas b'maga provided he had kavanah to touch it. V'hashach v'hagra cholkim al Beis Yosef, they argue v'soivrim shel oilam af hatois moida la'anocha zu shel Rashi she'ein nesar ela im asa ma'isa shichshach. Says the Gra and the Shach, they both disagree with the Beis Yosef, and they say Tosfos does not hold if you touch the wine without shichshach, it's going to be asar. Ella shatoisus boy lefarish madua in choisheshin she'asa ma'isa shichshach b'shah shetochev es yada b'yayin. Tosfos is not coming to tell you whether they touched the wine or not. Tosfos is coming to explain to you why they would not go ahead and shake it or not. Upirushay shekivashay yitari b'maisav. Since they're Torah in the maisav chapping the esrig, ein lachish boy l'shichshach. They're not thinking about shichshach. Okay, so but the Ran disagrees, and he says that no, they argue on Rashi. So it comes out over here. You have machloikis achroinim, gedoli achroinim, the Beis Yosef with connected the Gra and the Shach. Like the Beis Yosef, we have machloikis Rashi and Tosfos. According to Rashi, in order to make Yayik Nesech Hayidei Maga, you'd have to go ahead and do an act of shichshach. According to Tosfos, based upon the Beis Yosef, since what, as long as you didn't touch it, b'kavana, it's going to be what? It's going to be okay. If you touched it, even without shichshach, it's going to be what? Comes along the Gra, and the Shachan says the whole pshat and Tosfos is to explain why you're not worried about shichshach. A, since the kavana was not to put the hand in the wine, either because it's shemen or because they're going to chap the esrig, you worry about it afterwards. But Einochinami says the Gra and the Gra and the Shach connected the Beis Yosef that they don't argue in Rashi. In fact, you would go ahead and need shichshach. So there we have a synopsis of the different shitas. I thought it was something nice to bring in because it's a short daf anyway. So I thought you'd enjoy it as much as I did. Rabashi. Hay oivet kechavim the nasche lechamra di Yisrael bekavana. Now, this, what does he do? Mamish yayin esech. He picked up the Jews' wine, and how do you say? He poured. How do you pour in Yiddish?
Geschossen. Geschossen.
Geschossen.
Gegossen.
Thanks, Kenny.
Gegossen.
Gegossen.
Thanks, Kenny and Benji.
Yeah, I had an Aunt Gussie. She was Gussin.
You had an Aunt Gussie. Okay, anyway. I asked for it, I got it. Okay, it's good. Right. So he poured the Gussin the vine. He poured the wine, and then he had everything in mind. Mamish Hashem Avodah Mamish. Asaba, no, everything. Forget about it. This is out. Listen to this Chiddush, guys. To sell it to another guy is also, of course, what? Hana. But shari leila mishakel demeha mehu avodah kechavim. You were able to collect the money from that guy who did it. My timer, mikla kalya, he burnt it. Guys, he's chayv mitamazik. he took my kosher wine and he destroyed it. You're not having enough from the Avodah Zarah. You're collecting on the kosher wine that he destroyed. If you take the wine now, which is Avodah Zarah, and sell it, you're having enough from what? Wine of Avodah Zarah. But for you go ahead and collect from the guy who did it, he's a mazik. Hezek Shein Nika. Okay, we get into the sugya, right? But he's a mazik. Look at Rashi. Says Rashi, the lav nechahu. You're collecting from that guy. It's not necha. Ve'ena nene midemei yayin nesech. You're not having hana from what the demei of yayin nesech. Eloim eloi shafachta yenai. You spilled my wine. V'avadet me many, and you caused it a loss for me. Udmei yayin kasha kashakol. Guys, he's taking the mei yayin shakasha. He's taking the worth of what he destroyed. Okay, he's taking the worth of what he destroyed. Mino aminala, Amar Rashi, Mino aminala. How do I know this? Titania. Oivid kechavim shen nisech yena shel Yisrael shaloi b'fnei avodas kechavim. Asr. Let's say you were menasech in your house, not in front of your getchka. The guy was menasech it, but not in front of the getchka. Asr. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira matirim mitnei shnei devarim. They mated for two reasons. Echad she'em menasech yayin ela b'fnei avodas kechavim. Now we don't hold like that. Ve'echad she'oim eloi lav kol himenech she'te'aser yenai la'insi. You don't have the power to go ahead and ask for my wine. So why does this say raya to? The last part, even though we don't pass him like that, we could collect from him. Let's see Rashi. Lav kol himenech v'afa gavle sfir lekavasayo la'tiroi lim chalev kechavim acher. Even though Rabbi Yehuda, they would not go ahead, and we don't pass in that way, to go ahead and sell it to somebody else. Guys, Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba and Yehuda ben Beseira said you could sell it, mutter. They said it's mutter to sell, it's not asur b'hana. Says, you're bringing a raya. What are you bringing a raya to? That you can collect from the guy. But you're bringing a raya from a psak that we don't hold like. We don't hold that you could. They hold you could sell it to anybody. You could sell it to any guy. We want to bring a raya that you can collect from that guy. So says Rashi, even though while we hold you can't sell it, from our guy you're able to go ahead and pay back the nezek, because the tam of what? That you can't do it. So that's a chiddush. So we're bringing a raya, Mino Aminallah. You see, Rabbi Yehuda, they permitted afilu what to go ahead and sell it. But at least half or a hybrid, we can go ahead and say you may not be able to sell it, but at least you can collect from what from the guy that did it to you.